Good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day. And yesterday I did a major brain dump. Okay? Because there's so much information in all these videos. And I know there are a lot of people who follow me who are ADD, who won't take the time and watch the videos. They'll like some of the posts that I do, and I'll have my website attached to it, and they'll share the post, but then the information, the comments that I made above my website doesn't get shared or translated. So then people are missing the whole point of why I promote the Jilly Juice website. It's all the information that's on top of the link. And so anyway, so I created a bunch of memes yesterday. Like, I was in the zone and I needed to get everything I needed to get out, because there are people that are sharing my information that don't watch my videos, so they don't really understand where I'm coming from. They're only getting half the information because they're too busy being an activist. They don't actually take the time to watch my videos, or they're too busy being an empath, or too busy being highly charged and adrenalized, that they fail to see my information. So they pick and cherry pick the info that fits their agenda, but they don't understand the bigger picture. They don't understand the bigger picture. And so when I create these memes, you can't ignore the memes. It's so like there in like a few sentences, or one sentence that really just captures it all. Like when you are posting all about love, 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 and hate, 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 and bully, 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 that's an imbalance. But that doesn't reach and get across in a post on my Facebook, and it doesn't really reach and get across in my videos if you're not even going to watch my videos. So if I put it in red or yellow against a black background, you can't ignore it. It's right there in your face. You know, when people post all about their feelings 24/7, it shows imbalances. So it's like, I got to put these things out there so people are aware, because the more that you're aware of how you operate in the world and how you communicate and what you're communicating, and then what that's revealing about you, maybe you might take a second look. That's all I'm doing, is just raising awareness of how you operate, because people are so automatic in how they operate. They don't even realize where they're operating from. They don't realize the biochemical imbalances, because they're so used to operating a certain way. And then it gets reinforced by all of their kindred spirits, all of their friends and family and like-minded people who keep reinforcing the imbalances. So they think nothing is wrong. Okay, fine. You know, but that's your right. But I'm going to say, hey, there are hormones and biochemistry that come to surface when a person is on a death trajectory, and these are the specific hormones, and this is how it manifests. And then you see it in what people post. And so it's like looking through somebody's eyes. Eyes are the windows to their soul. Well, your Facebook posts are a window to your soul. Okay? And so the more you understand where I'm coming from, the more you're going to be aware of how you operate. And maybe you like what you do, maybe you don't like what you do. Maybe you realize that if you are always operating from an empathic love, 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 and you're actively aging and integrating, and you have cancer, disease, and chronic illness, maybe there's some kind of correlation. There's some relationship between that, and maybe you want to take a second look. Okay? That's all the Jilly Juice does. We can't force anybody to adopt a different thought process, but at least we can make you aware of your imbalances. And if you choose to change up your biochemistry to then change your reality, now you have the tools to do it if you so choose. Okay? So yesterday when I did a whole brain dump, and I want to make sure too that Kevin has all of my thought process, okay? And not to say that he wouldn't be able to cover it, because he does take a lot of notes, but I want to make sure that at least I have some few just really like succinct, short little sentences to where it might jog something in his head to figure out how to put this together, because I still haven't seen his manuscript. Okay, I haven't seen Kevin's manuscript, so I have no idea how he's attacking this, what perspective he's coming. I mean, I kind of know, but not really. I'm leaving it up to him, and then once I see the manuscript, then we'll both then work with it to figure out how to get both our voices in there and to make sure that all the necessary information is covered. But I want to make sure at least you guys get the sound bites, the 2-second sound bites, so you understand. And then if we need to explain it more in depth, then that's where the book will come from. Okay, so it's kind of like notes to myself, notes to Kevin, and notes to all of you, what we're going to be covering in the book in some way, shape, or form. How we put together, well, that's going to be a collaboration that you guys will see once it's there, and it's not ready yet. Okay. But that's why I did the brain dump, so that way I don't leave out those that are not watching the videos because they're ADD. Because it's a lot of videos I put out there, a lot. I do have a lot of people that are screenshotting what I'm saying, as well as downloading the videos from YouTube, which is totally fine, and they're sharing it, and they're either making fun or supporting it. That's fine. Either way, love and hate is still support. It's still energy that I can convert to then make it better for all of you. And it gives people the choice. Okay, no matter how you characterize or perceive my information, it's still going to be run through different biochemistries that either will understand it or not understand it. And at least people now have the choice. And that's how I look at now all the people that are either loving me or hating me, is they're giving everybody the choice, and it doesn't matter which side of the aisle they stand on. It's still a choice people have. Okay, so once I did all that brain dump, I really now have narrowed why we're doing the J juice. Okay, the point of J juice is to live indefinitely, relatively pain-free, while adapting to your environment, and then understand the mucus as the indicator of balancing out the environment. Okay, that's the whole point of J juice. You're going to get to a point where you'll be able to adapt to your environment, to the changing conditions, and you won't go into a complete upset of homeostasis where you're symptomatic. When you're asymptomatic, you're not applying the wrong chemistry, and you're doing the J juice at the level that aggressive or on maintenance status, and you're able to adapt to the changing conditions from summer to fall to winter, you know you have pretty much healed and sealed, and you're not aging. You've grown your hair back, you reversed the aging process, you have now the minerals back in your hair, you don't have gray hair anymore, you have the collagen and the elasticity back in your skin, you don't have crazy wrinkles, you have strong fingernails, you don't have osteoporosis or bone or joint weaknesses, you haven't been diagnosed with anything, and you're clear-headed, you're not so easily triggered because you've put out your boundaries, and you're not crossing boundaries, you're not emitting so much hate and love and bully. You've taken yourself out of the war of all the activism, and you're not looping in the same traumas that you've experienced either recently or from 50 freaking years ago. That's the whole point of J juice. Okay, that's the whole point of J juice. And so that is what's available and possible for every single person who then commits themselves to understand the information. If you don't commit yourself to understand the information, then now you're not going to get that kind of possibility. But it's not only understanding the information and committing to it, it's actually doing it and staying with it. Because some people who are like, oh, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, I'm going to do it, and they're all gung-ho in the beginning, and they peter out. Those that are like hot to trot way in the beginning, all loving this, and they try it, and they're like, holy crap, this is not what I expected, and then they disappear. And then they're back into looping in the same activists and the same traumas that they've experienced. No different than a ghost who died in a very aggressive way, or who is so like love. That's there's a friendly ghost, and then there's the mean ghost. And then they leave an indelible mark in the universe. It's an energy that someone who recognizes that can see it. And then they always loop. They're attached to that object or attached to a specific location, and they can't seem to free themselves. somebody, they didn't get the permission to leave and then go to wherever the beyond. Because that's what I guess these mediums do, is they release these ghosts from their prison of looping. No different than people here on earth who are looping in the same activism and the same traumas, and then they go get all these different therapies that then create more traumas on the body. And then when they do the J juice, they're not only healing from the initial trauma, but then all the wrong chemistry being applied to it. And it's not just one or two. Every single time you go back to that drug or a different drug or another therapy or another procedure or another detox or another pill, you've created more trauma to the body. Then now it has to heal from that. Okay? And so the J juice, you know, why people need to do it now before it's too late is because the more chemistry that's wrong you're applying to the body, the harder it is for people to heal, because you got to go through the pain, the inflammation. And so I've been seeing on my Facebook people who are like all into anti-inflammatories, and I'm like, you're the reason why there's the whole depopulation conspiracy, because you're basically weaponizing the foods against your own body. You're basically anti-healing when you're buying into the anti-inflammatories, the painkillers, the pills, the powders, supplements, the detoxes, the therapies. Okay? So it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy when someone says, oh, the government's trying to kill me, and they're actively promoting anti-inflammatories. Oh, well, there you go. Self-fulfilling prophecy. And so now, I know when I see it on my Facebook, and then I see people that are demonizing pit bulls, and I'm just like, oh my God, because I have a pit bull and she is a rescue. I don't know her history, so we keep her relatively, you know, on her own. We don't socialize her too much because we don't know exactly her whole history, and we don't want to risk anyone getting hurt. So if you don't know your dog's history, you don't put them in a position where you're going to find out their history, right? So there's ways in which you raise your dog based upon how you got it, where it came from, and then you act accordingly. And there are irresponsible owners out there that don't care about their animal, and they weaponize their animals, and then people then demonize the animal, not the owner. And those are the same people who demonize the animal, not the owner, who probably blame the guns for deaths, the spoons for getting fat, the pencils for defamation, and take zero responsibility for their part in this world. And then they will go, and then what happens is it triggers in animal abuse, and it triggers so many horrible things in humanity. To then, because people who do torture animals blame everybody else for their problems. Okay? And so I take people like that off my Facebook. When you're blaming an animal or blaming an element or blaming a person for any type of misfortunes, it's like, I'm so over it, okay? And so then yesterday, there was something yesterday that I read, and I have a lot of different people who have religions, okay? A lot of different religions. I mean, there's Jehovah's Witness, there's Jewish, Christian, Catholic, Muslim, all of that. And then and spirituality, spiritual people. And so I have picked apart the English language to then say, okay, Jehovah, Allah, God, Buddha, I don't know, the demiurge, okay? All of them represent life as a whole. And then and then under that, then you have all the components that make up life, okay? And so there is jargon in the spirituality world. People who are spiritual with the chakras and all the little, Gaia this and Gaia that. And there's jargon in the Jehovah's Witnesses. There's jargon in the Christian born-again Christians and the Christians. There's jargon in even Indian type of beliefs, I guess. What is it? I don't know all the different religions but when you have like the spirits and they do rain dances and stuff, okay? There's jargon in the Catholic religion. There's jargon in the Judaism, what's Muslim, Islam, okay? There's jargon and all of that. And then I'm thinking, okay, so we finally figured out that all these different like spiritual deities, whatever they are, whether it's a figure or a statue or whatever, it represents life. And then all these different religions have their perception of how to explain and justify life and death. Okay? So I've essentially said that we're basically all the same. The only difference is the jargon and the context, and then how we perceive life and how we perceive death. And then I'm reading about Putin. Okay, so Putin is jailing all of the people who are Jehovah's Witnesses because they're practicing a religion that is against the state. But then Putin is also pro-life. I mean, he doesn't want his people to die. He doesn't want to die. And so, with religious persecution, it comes from the already intimated separation that your religion and my religion or belief system is totally different when it actually is the same. So when somebody says, okay, we don't want you to practice a religion, well, you're practicing life. How in your head can you say that even though you're practicing a religion like Jehovah's Witness, and they want you to renounce it, or they want you to, which you're not really going to renounce it because you're not going to renounce your life, but they want you to stop playing the separation game. And I think that's where it comes from when you have religious persecution, because it comes from an exclusivity. It comes from where people perceive any different thought process, or not even thought process, but a different way of explaining the same thing as a break in the unification of people. Okay? And so when it comes down to it, this is where people get issues with, is like, why should I not talk about Jehovah's Witness stuff? Why should I not talk about Jesus? Why should I not talk about Allah or Buddha? And you can talk about whatever your thing is. But when it comes down to it, it's still everyone promoting life. People want to live. But if you're promoting death, then that right there should be something that we need to look at. Like, why are you promoting death? Because we put people in jail for killing somebody. We put people in jail for being accessory to a murder. Okay? So I would say universally, even the satanic crowd, they don't want to just kill everybody in their coven. They still promote life in some way. But what it really comes down to is that people don't understand death and think that it's something out of their control. So it becomes kind of accepted, as well as jail. When you are told that you need to renounce your religion, which you're not going to renounce your life, okay, or die, you see there's a disconnect, right? Well, if I die, if I renounce my religion, I'm dead, so to speak, to somebody who's like a Jehovah's Witness or a born-again Christian. But then dying is death. So you're not renouncing your religion. You're just now saying, okay, it's all the same thing. Like, in your head, you have to know that life and Jehovah, life and Jesus, life and Allah, life and Buddha, life and spirituality is all the same thing. And some leader like Putin, who is going to jail somebody, or even like the Chinese government, who doesn't like the Falun Gong. Okay, why would you defend your way of saying life to the point of death if you promote life? This is where I'm coming from. I'm trying to glean this out, because I'm not trying to offend anybody, but I'm trying to keep people consistent with their belief system. Okay, if you are so full of life and you promote life, you wouldn't defend your life to where you would die. Okay, now I understand if someone's coming at you with a gun or a knife, and it's like a 1 second difference between, a standoff. Well, yeah, you would defend your life, and you happen to die, you happen to die. But we're not going to be in that situation. People usually give you a choice, saying, okay, we're going to give you a choice, whether it's good, bad, right or wrong, whatever. Okay, you renounce your religion or you die. Well, you're not renouncing your religion, you're just renouncing the way in which you explain life but you still believe in life. You happen to call it Jehovah, or you happen to call it Jesus or Buddha or Muslim or something. And you stay living because you're consistent with your belief system. You won't sacrifice yourself for your religion, your belief system, because if you believe in life, why would you sacrifice yourself? See, that's where I'm coming from, is if you believe in life, why would you sacrifice your freedom? Why would you sacrifice your children? So when I'm watching the news and I'm watching these people like that are Mormon, that are going to like living in Mexico, like you've heard all over the news, maybe if you watch the news, that a Mexican cartel murdered a family. Okay. And like a bunch of the kids got shot, and then all the adults were totally killed. Okay. And I'm like, why would you live somewhere, especially if you're American, living in Mexico when you have such like chaos and anarchy? I mean, that's basically when in Mexico, in those parts of Mexico where you have the drug cartels, that's anarchy. That's allowing one faction, no different than the mafia. When the mafia were in control way back in the early 1900s, before the government figured out the RICO Act and got, and figured out how to infiltrate them to break them up so they would stop all this killing and craziness. Okay? So when you have anarchy, then you have factions that don't care about life or death, or don't care about life, and it's all about absolute rule. So when you're in like the West, like America or Europe or any of that, count your blessings that you don't have those types of drug cartels that rule that infrastructure. I would never move to Mexico and think that I'm immune to the anarchy that happens in Mexico. And so when someone has such a belief system, and they are using their religion to justify living off grid or living in their own little encampment, out there in the Sonoran Desert in north of Mexico, and there's roving cartels that really, don't really care about your life. Why would you put your kids and your family in that position in the name of anti-government, in the name of religion, in the name of belief system? Why would you do that? Okay? When you're pro-life, you find every way possible to keep your life going. Now, other people out there, you can't save, but it's about you. Okay? It's about you. Because if you can't save your own life, how the hell can you save your kid's life, as well as your family or your dog or anyone else's life? Okay? And so this is where I kind of like have trouble with those that are dealing with religious persecution, is that you promote life in your religion, hopefully. And when someone says, okay, I don't like how you explain life and death, please stop what you're doing. When people are like, well, we want to be able to congregate, which I understand you want to, okay, you can congregate. I mean, and this is where I think the whole thing with the Georgia Guidestones is they don't want exclusivity. When people use jargon, whatever it is, because there's jargon in the legal field, there's jargon in the teaching field, in the nursing field, in religions, in spirituality and chakras and all that stuff. There's jargon, and then it has a superior complex. Like, and even when I did the landmark education back when I was, in my 20s, okay, and they have a whole jargon that makes people feel like, oh, you know something more than this other person does. And it puts that kind of an imbalance and unequal kind of footing. And the only way you can know what I'm talking about is if you join my group. And that's like, there's a way to speak universally, plain to people, without turning them off with the jargon, making them feel less than, trying to promote exclusivity. And that's where I think Putin comes from. That's probably where I think the Chinese government comes from. That's where communism comes from. Okay? Is that they don't want people then weakening the fabric of uniformity. Now, it doesn't mean that Putin and the Chinese government are absolutely correct in everything they do, but that's their premise. Is they don't want to have splintering off factions. They don't want to lose control over the population. And so if they keep everybody uniform, then at least it's predictable. Okay, and that's the same thing with the Jeju. No, we're not communist, but we're dealing with universal bodies with a universal protocol. There is a blueprint to the protocol that if you follow it, most likely you're going to get the benefits. How and when and why, I can't tell you. It's every biochemistry is different, but at least if you stay with the blueprint, you're going to see some kind of results. And then people share their experiences, and then you can see the possibility if you have similar biochemistries. Okay, and so uniformity creates consistency. It creates predictability. When you have so many different factors, when people get off the protocol and they're doing things half-assed and they're doing running and exercise and they're eating off the protocol, and then you see then very like unpredictable results, and then people are not happy with their results because they're not getting their results as fast as the other person did. Okay, but there's so many different factors that contribute why a person would get major fast results over another person, because there's age, there's how many issues you have, there's your lifestyle, there's your understanding of the protocol, there's your biochemistry, there's all of your experiences. When you put all these different factors together, there's no way to really predict accurately at what point in time your issues are going to get resolved. But you know at some point, if you stay on the protocol, you will. And, you know, I mean, I'm 45, going to be 46 pretty soon, and I only had PMDD. So I'm in my 4th year, and I'm doing pretty well. Somebody else who's like in their 30s, like Kevin, who had a lot more issues, may take him longer to get to where I'm at, but he's on his way. He's already seen indicators. I see indicators that Kevin is following the same path. And if he's not there already, I mean, he's not there already because he knows he has still healing, and I'm still healing too. I mean, where's there? I don't know. It's a continuous process improvement. But everyone's going to have the different rates of healing and benefits and experiences on the Jejus based upon their biochemistry and their lifestyle. Because some of you are working full time, so you can't devote as much as I can devote to this protocol. Okay, so it's going to be a longer process for some of you, but others of you have the ability, because you're on disability or Social Security and you already have pretty much a support system, you could be reaching these milestones quicker than me, because you don't have anybody to take care of. Okay, you're just by yourself, and then, you know, all of your responsibilities are outside that you don't really have to really, I mean, like, you have family that's outside, but you're pretty much self-sufficient, and you're not beholden to anybody else to distract you. Okay, so those people can heal faster than me. But yeah, when you have kids and you have responsibilities and a job and a husband and borders and and all of that, because now you're going to be distracted. Just like yesterday, I was going through my memes and doing a brain dump, and then my husband needed to pick him up, so I picked him up. So then I had to take a breather and relax from that brain dump. The party's over, I told Kevin, you know, because he's like, wow, you're on fire. Yeah. Then Jason called, like, hey, you gotta pick me up. Okay, fine. So, and then once I got him settled and I cooked him dinner and he's all good and he's relaxing, then I'm going back to my brain dump. Okay, so imagine when you have 8 hours of where you have to be distracted from yourself. That's 8 hours that you could be healing, but you're utilizing your minerals. Okay, so it's just a matter of how you manage your time. And so that's why I say, with those of you that are doing exercises or are in high octane lifestyles, you really need to drink a lot of the J juice, which is going to force you to then kind of, you know, lessen the high octane lifestyle and kind of just chill out a little bit, because the body still needs to heal. Okay, the body still needs to heal. So anyways, so nothing is worth dying for if you believe in life. Yeah, those brain dumps, yeah, you gotta love it. But nothing is worth dying for if you believe in life. Nothing is. And we're understanding what symptoms are, because symptoms are the body trying to heal, but you're not letting it. And then when you have malabsorption, and then now you're malnourished, then you're just living off the food you eat every day, and then you can't afford not to eat. And then what happens is that the body still doesn't get enough what it needs, so that it steals resources. And this is the aging process. And so then, yeah, your integumentary system your skeletal system and other systems in your body get then stolen from. The body steals those reserves, and then you're not holding on to any reserves, which is basically strengthening your weaknesses. See, weaknesses is where it's like you're putting more. It's like, how would I say this? You have a boat that has like one hole, but it's a big boat. So you can have one hole in the boat and you're on the ocean. So you have a little bit of leak. Okay. It's the water's coming in, but it's not flooding you yet, right? So this is kind of a reverse thing. But then more holes, more weaknesses in your body, the boat is taking on more water. And so this is what happens, people systematically, even though they're still floating and still going and doing things and running and doing all their stuff, more holes are being created, more weaknesses are being sustained. And even though you're still taking in food to give you that energy for the day, and then you go to sleep to try to repair, what happens is that you're not getting enough and more holes are being, and then all of a sudden the boat sinks because no one has fixed the holes. Okay, I could probably think of a better analogy. I'll have to think of a better analogy. When you take on water or lose air or that's I guess like a little, say like an air leak too. When you have like a tire, let's do it this way. When you have a tire and you have a tiny leak, and you know that every so often you have to go and put air in your tire. I used to have that, okay? Where I had to every so often put air in my tires because I have a slow leak. Well, that's the same thing with the body with those who are not in the J juice. They have a slow leak in their body. Air or nutrients and minerals are being leaked out. And so every so often you have to go and replenish. But what happens is when you're doing that on a constant basis like that, instead of fixing those weaknesses, then that hole becomes bigger and bigger and bigger, and then there's really nothing left. Just then the tire is flat, the body is flat. And so, yeah, so people who are doing exercise and all that stuff, you're like, well, you should have, it stimulates the muscles and brings oxygen to the cells, and electrolytes do all of that. Electrolytes stimulate the muscle contraction, stimulate the cells and the muscles in the body. So that way you can pick up a pencil and do your stuff. So you'll see all my different memes, okay? And so, yeah, I mean, for those that are ADD, they're not watching the videos because they don't have time. Well, those memes are for those that don't have time. So there has to be different ways that I can reach those with different strengths and different weaknesses, okay? And so that's why I did that major brain dump yesterday, because I know there's a lot of people that don't watch the videos because it's just too much time for them. And I understand, I get it. I mean, you're busy. I can't make you wrong too much. So then I find a different way to reach you, which is those brain dumps, okay? And then, and then Kevin can use those as headings for whatever, and that's it. Or we put them in the book in some way as something, I don't know, just as something, just as a remembrance or a recall, or as a heading for each of the chapter, something, okay? But I want to make sure you guys have at least the sound bites, the 2-second sound bites, if you don't want to listen to the 57-minute video. But anyways, but yeah, so the whole point of this whole transmission is nothing is right. Thank you, Kevin. Nothing is worth dying for. Your religion is not worth dying for if you believe in life, because religion is just jargon explaining the same thing in a different way. And then what it does, it then creates exclusivity. It intimates exclusivity as if you know more than somebody else. And that's why I don't like people using too much scripture and too much jargon on my Facebook page, because not everybody understands it and wants to study your perception of life and death. And so there's a way to universally speak, and that's why the whole thing with the Georgia Guidestones is there's a universal language that we can speak without promoting exclusivity, okay? And that's the whole point of JHS, is we're not excluding anybody. Everybody is welcome that wants to understand this. It's not just for certain people. It's for everybody that's willing to take the time. And I will try to find ways to reach all of your listenings and deal with all of your idiosyncrasies and your strengths and your weaknesses, so that way nobody gets left out. Okay, because I don't want anybody left out. Everyone should have access to this, even if they don't want to listen to my 57-minute videos. At least you have the 2-second sound bites that's written down. So for the deaf, for the blind, there is a way to get this information. Okay, because yeah, if you're blind, then you're going to be listening to this. If you're deaf and blind, well then, I guess Braille. Okay. And then Kevin goes, sick people are literally leaking light and heat. Yeah, absolutely. 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 All right. Well, I've been getting up at 4:30 every morning. My body eliminates. So you see I don't have too much of the mucus this morning because I've been getting up so early because my body does. I poop a lot. So poop out the stuff from the night before. And in turn, I blow my nose at the same time. It seems that those two are connected. Like I have such a clear communication between my ass and my mouth that when I blow my nose, I shit. It's that effective. It's that aligned. Okay. And so it's amazing that connection of mucus in the nose and the ear, nose, and throat, and then the mucus in your ass trying to release. Because mucus is trying to release the stuff up here, and then your ass and your urethra is trying to release the stuff down there. And so you have so many different filtration systems. And if you can't release stuff down there or up here, then it comes through your skin. And that's why you see people with skin conditions, because they have stagnancy in their digestive system, stagnancy in their ear, nose, and throat because of their practices of dealing with mucus and sickness. And so then the skin is the next thing that filters out the toxins. But what happens is that people have these eruptions and all of this crap, and then you see it like in different parts of the face. And that's why the face map, to show where inflammation is on the face, also correlates to the different systems and organs in the body. Okay? Exactly what goes on inside. So when someone has a lot of redness in the face, when someone has zits and pustules and blemishes on the face, not just little moles like I have, but actual like inflammation, that tells you the state, the internal state of your 11 different systems. And the body is already stagnant in the filtration, lymphatic system, the digestive system, the ear, nose, and throat, the respiratory system. And so it has to be released somehow, so the skin and then weaknesses get created. My brother told me, so Kevin says, my brother told me recently that I should change the word people from the matrix. People. So what are you going to change? So you're going to say people, or you can say the matrix? I'm not fully understanding. However, I mean, here's the thing. You can say mainstream media, or you speak mainstream. You can say alternative mainstream. Whatever, here's how you want to, to be able to reach and understand context, because, to understand how we can unify, we have to understand the context from which we are speaking from. There is a word, and there is phrases that will have somebody understand. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fine. People from, or say mainstream media or alternative mainstream media, either way. However you want it, when you write it and we see, we'll talk, either way, it's fine. As long as we know that we can reach people who understand where we're coming from. That's all. I don't care. You can use matrix, you can use alternative mainstream media, because there's mainstream media and then there's alternative mainstream media, which is the same thing. And then there are those that are like, okay, this is different. So how does the Jilly Juice world set itself apart from the mainstream and the alternative mainstream? Right there. That's how she sets herself apart. Because she's not the mainstream or the alternative mainstream. She still buys into some of the mainstream concepts, but then introduces new concepts. So you're exactly right. I mean, the Matrix does sound like, it does sound weird. It does sound like we're being exclusive. It sounds like we're being using jargon. Like when someone says sheeple, someone called me a sheeple yesterday. They're like, when I was just like, don't use food as medicine to some like medicine food page. And I posted my YouTube video about, you know, the dangers of using food as medicine. And the guy was like, you're a sheeple. And I'm like, that's jargon. That's jargon. When you call someone a sheeple, that's jargon. The Matrix is jargon, yes. So there is definitely specific language that elicits that you're part of a group, an organization that is either better than somebody else. And so, very good, Kevin. Very good observation. See, you know it. And and I'm telling you, when I put this stuff out there, it reminds me of how I need to operate. And I don't think I used Matrix in any of my memes, and I didn't use sheeple, that's for sure. So anyways, yeah. So yeah, I mean, how we set ourselves apart from the mainstream and the alternative mainstream is that we still buy into at least 90% of the concepts, but we're introducing 10% new information. That's not really new. It's just possibility, and then here is the substantiation. Okay, so that's something that we'll be gleaning out in the next book. I hear you, sugar. So anyways, but yeah, I really wanted to get across that there is no religion, no belief system worth dying for if you believe in life. And if there are indicators that there are major instability in different countries, in either Mexico or different countries, why the hell would you live there? Why the hell would you go there? Okay, I mean, I understand there is the fear factors out there, the people that fear monger, people that don't want people to visit places because for whatever reason politically, but there's already too much evidence out there. As far as the drug cartels, we still have a lot of anarchy, a lot of instability in this world. And I'm not going to ignore indicators because I'm thinking like, oh, they're just trying to scare me and fear monger me away, because that's not at all what I'm trying to get across, is that we ignore indicators because we're thinking it's a conspiracy. Okay? I know, Kevin, you almost moved to Mexico. I know. And here's the thing. If Mexico and the president would crack down on the drug cartels, if different countries crack down on all of the instability, and this is where the UN and this is where the West are trying to do, is trying to crack down on the instability, trying to crack down on the despots, the deadly dictators that are out there. Okay, and then America then some, and then some, even our own imbalances, we don't necessarily give all the information out there. Like the government doesn't give away all their secrets or all of their strategies and movements, because they don't want to alert the deadly people to what their movements are. So they're not going to say a lot, and then people make up their own narrative. They're like, oh, America is so horrible. Oh, the government is so horrible. And then they demonize the government because we go into countries trying to gain some kind of control. And yes, there are resources that we want to, and there's that, but then there's also instability in a lot of countries. So it's the game of foreign policy. Okay, there's national security, foreign policy, and politics. But really what it comes down to is protect your family. Don't die for a cause. If you believe in life, don't die for your religion. Don't be imprisoned for your religion. If I hadn't listened to the Federal Trade Commission or the OAG, and I wanted to continue to say that Jilly Juice is all this a cure and this and that, which it isn't anyways, but if I still kept with my belief system back then, I would be no different than those that die for a cause, even though they believe in life. When you're that stubborn to where you put yourself in jail for something that you have no reason to be put in jail or die for, when really, when it comes down to, there's reasons behind the laws. There's reasons behind why people do stuff, okay? There's reason behind Putin, how he does stuff. There's reason behind why the Chinese government does their stuff, okay? And you have to understand where they're coming from and adapt to it and still live and still be able to practice your religion, even if it's in your head, okay? But then you have the stubborn people that want to be activists and they're willing to die and be a martyr when you really don't need to be die or be a martyr. But move to areas where you're more accepted. And if you can't leave Russia and you happen to be a Jehovah's Witness, well, then find a way to adapt to where you can still be there for your friends and family, not be in jail or killed because you wanted to stick with explaining life and death in your jargon, okay? Because that's what I want people to do, is understand keeping the consistency. If you believe in life, then you don't sacrifice yourself for a belief system. Now, if it's one-on-one, hand-to-hand combat, well, then there you go. Just like the Spartans. When it's between you and another person and you guys are hand-to-hand combat, whether it's a gun or a sword, you want to win out, but there's always the potential that their gun is faster than yours or their sword is faster than yours. But we're not at that point. We're not back in the 16, 15, 13, 1200s where we're doing hand-to-hand combat, okay? So you should never be faced with a decision of whether you should give up your life for your belief system. Come on. I think we've evolved. Our system has evolved much further than that archaic belief system of living off-grid and reverting back to the caveman days, or dying for your religion or dying for your belief system. I think we've evolved beyond that. But some people want to revert back to the caveman days. Some people want to revert back to Joan of Arc and the martyr days. But that's not the point of J-Juice. We're not, there's no martyrs on J-Juice. We're not dying for a cause. And we keep consistent. If you love life, promote life, then you're not going to die for your belief system, regardless of where you are. Okay? And you don't put yourself in a position to be martyred. All right? So, yeah. All right, well, that's really it for today. If I need to do any more brain dumps, I will, but the reason why I did it so that way those that are ADD, don't want to watch my videos, will just read the 2-second sound bites and either pique their interest or not. And I do try to make a point, because I do have people on my Facebook who are all about the love, love, love. It's all about is love, love, love. And I have to put that meme there. If what you're promoting is love, 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 and hate, 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 you have imbalances. If you're oozing love and you're oozing hate, you have imbalances. If you hate someone for their religion, their spirituality, their belief system, then you are projecting what exactly you are: intolerant and hateful. Okay? And so then you being a love, 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 empathic person hating a religion is then hypocritical. Because I have those on my Facebook too that claim to be all peaceful and happy and empathic and full of love, and they hate the organized religion. They hate the Joel Osteens that go, and yeah, Joel Osteen, he's making money. He's a performer. When you go and see a performance, what do? You pay a fee, right? When you go to a movie, what do? You pay the $20 or $15 to go see a movie. When you go to a play, what do? You got to pay admission. When you go to a church and somebody is giving you something that you need for whatever reason, what do? You have the choice to tithe. You have a choice to pay someone for giving you something that you need from them. How is that? How is organized religion that pays money to a preacher any different than an actor wanting to get paid for their performance? Any different than any play? Any different than any type of gathering where you have to pay admission? When people do presentations, they don't just do it for free. They expect some kind of quid pro quo, some kind of equal exchange of energies. So when somebody is railing against someone who, like a Joel Osteen, Well, then go pay money to a freaking movie for someone to promote death. I would rather pay Joel Austin, who promotes life, than go see some kill 'em, shoot 'em up movie promoting death. Okay? So that's where I know that there's major hypocrisy, and that's why I do these memes to show the hypocrisy. And I'm going to do a meme about that today, because it irks me to see these empaths and these love people bashing organized religion when they go and pay money to a movie theater or to a play. You're paying a performer, somebody that is giving you their energy. Just like you expect to get paid when you go to work. So these empaths and these spiritual, I'm all about Gaia people who hate the organized religion expect to get paid when they go to work, but they don't expect the preacher to get paid for his performance on stage, giving his flock the needed energy that they are wanting to hear. Okay? So there's a lot of hypocrisy that I have to point out there, because those types of people are causing the instability in humanity. And they think they're not, but they are. And then as you do move through the process of J-Juice, you'll be more aware, more sensitive to the hypocrisy, and then you start calling people on their shiz.